All right, so have you ever sent an email and then instantly regretted it, or maybe posted something online and then, like, wanted to disappear forever?
Yeah, I think we've all been there. It's way too easy to hit send in the heat of the moment, especially in the digital world.
Exactly. And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. We're tackling a classic, how to win friends and influence people. But here's the twist. We're bringing it into the digital age.
And it's interesting because while technology's changed how we connect, the fundamentals of human nature, they haven't really changed all that much.
Right. Like deep down, we all still crave those genuine connections, that sense of belonging.
Exactly. And that's what Carnegie tapped into so brilliantly, those timeless principles of building relationships and those insights. They're more relevant than ever in our hyper-connected world.
So we're not talking about ditching our devices and becoming hermits, right? It's more about learning how to navigate this digital landscape in a way that actually strengthens our relationships, not sabotages them.
Absolutely. It's about adapting, not abandoning. Taking those timeless principles and figuring out how they apply in this new digital context.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Chapter 1 throws us a bit of a curveball with this idea of digital boomerangs.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
So we've all seen negativity online, right? But what makes it different than, say, just venting to a friend?
Well, it all comes down to this. Online, your words have this incredible way of echoing louder and longer than you ever intended. It's like that snarky comment, that impulsive tweet. It's out there, potentially forever.
And the consequence? Well, let's just say they can be a lot bigger than you might expect.
Yeah, it's not just about hurting someone's feelings, although that's a big part of it, of course, but we're talking real-world consequences, too.
Like that story in the book about Dr. Nesbitt.
Oh, right. The doctor who went on a Facebook rant about his daughter's mother.
Yeah. And it ended up costing him a $40,000 fine.
And then there was that soccer player, Ryan Babel, publicly criticized his coach on Twitter. Not exactly a smart career move.
Talk about a digital boomerang.
Exactly. And it highlights how different digital communication is. It's incredibly fast and incredibly permanent, and that's where Carnegie's wisdom becomes so crucial.
So what's the takeaway here? Think before you tweet.
It's more than that. It's about pausing, really thinking about the long game. Ask yourself, what do I really want to achieve with this comment, this post, this email?
It's about choosing influence over venting.
Exactly, like Lincoln did with that letter he drafted about General Meade after Gettysburg.
Oh, yeah. He was furious that Meade didn't pursue the Confederates right away.
And he channeled that frustration into a scathing letter. But you know what? He never sent it.
Why not?
Because he realized that, yeah, he might win the argument, but at what cost? He would destroy their relationship, lost the chance to influence Meade's future actions.
It's like they say, you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar.
Exactly. It takes more restraint to choose the high road, especially in our world of instant reactions and viral threads. But it's a choice that pays off in the long run.
So instead of just unleashing our frustration online, what can we do? Because Chapter 2 dives into this idea of digital affirmation. And honestly, it seems like more than just clicking the like button, right?
Yeah, it really is. Think of it like this. Genuine affirmation online, it's about being specific, about taking that extra moment to point out what resonated with you, what you found insightful, maybe how it made you think. It goes way beyond a thumbs up emoji.
Okay, so instead of like just heart reacting to a friend's vacation photo,
Yeah.
you're saying I should leave a comment like, I'm so jealous of that tan. What beach is that?
Exactly.
Huh?
You're showing them that you're really paying attention, that you're genuinely interested and happy for them.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about in, say, professional settings online? How do we use digital affirmation there?
Well, think about Blake Mycoskie.
Yeah.
The Tom MS shoes founder.
Yeah, I know Tom MS.
He said that he sees the digital world as this incredible tool for building stronger relationships, not just making transactions.
Okay, yeah, so it's about making that human connection even in a professional setting online.
Right. Because whether it's a personal or professional connection, those moments of genuine affirmation, they really do stick with people.
It's like that story in the book, the one with the dad writing a letter to his son.
Oh, man, that one gets me every time. Talk about a powerful reminder that our words have a lasting impact, whether we deliver them in person or online.
He spends the whole day criticizing his son. Then later that night, he's hit with this, like, wave of remorse. And he writes his son this incredibly heartfelt letter affirming his love for him and his belief in him. Honestly, I get teary-eyed just thinking about it.
Yeah, it really tugs at the heartstrings. And, it speaks to this. In a world that often feels very impersonal, a kind word online, a genuine expression of appreciation, it can really make someone's day.
Okay, so we're ditching the digital boomerangs, loading up on digital affirmation. But there's got to be more to really connecting online, right? Because chapter 3 gets into this idea of connecting with core desires online. And honestly, that sounds kind of impossible. Like, how can we possibly know what someone else wants, especially through a screen?
It's not about reading minds or anything. It's about understanding this one key thing.
Hmm.
Everyone is driven by something deeper, and if we can tap into that, we can connect on a much more meaningful level.
Okay, so it's less about mind reading and more about understanding their motivation, their why.
Exactly. Like, remember Steve Jobs and his vision for the personal computer?
He basically made computers cool.
He did more than that.
Yeah.
He understood that people didn't want just a machine. They wanted a tool to connect, to create, to explore. He tapped into their core desires.
And created a product that people were literally lining up for.
Because he understood their why. And that's the key, even in the digital age. Figure out what people truly value, what they're really looking for online, and speak to that.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. But it's one thing to talk about connecting with someone's core desires. It's another to actually do it. So how do we put this into practice online?
Well, it all starts with listening. And that's what Chapter 4 is all about, the importance of digital listening.
Which honestly seems like a lost art these days. Everyone's so busy trying to be heard, to get their own point across, to rack up those likes and comments. How do we actually listen and make others feel heard in such a noisy space?
It's tough, but it's not impossible. It starts with a shift in mindset. Instead of approaching online interactions as a competition for attention, we need to think of them as opportunities for connection.
Easier said than done.
Right. It takes practice. But think about Andrew Sullivan, that political blogger. He deliberately engaged with his readers in the comments section, genuinely valued their perspectives, even when they disagreed with him.
Which is pretty rare these days, right? It seems like everyone's so quick to shut down dissenting opinions online.
It's true, but Sullivan understood that listening wasn't just about being polite. It was about fostering a sense of community, of connection.
And that open dialogue can lead to some really insightful conversations.
Absolutely. And it all starts with listening.
Speaking of listening, I'm reminded of that story about John, the aspiring political writer. Remember how he aced his job interviews?
Wasn't by bragging about himself, was it?
Nope. It was by listening. Like really listening. He focused on the interviewer, asked thoughtful questions about their experiences, and let them do most of the talking.
It's amazing how far a little genuine interest can get you.
Right. It's like that saying, people may not remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And when you truly listen to someone, you make them feel seen, heard, and valued.
Exactly. And that's a powerful thing, especially in a world that can often feel very impersonal.
So we're not just passively listening, right? We have to actually find that common ground, those shared interests.
Exactly. It's about taking that listening a step further and using it to build authentic rapport.
Because anyone can click follow or like a post, but real connection, that takes more effort.
Yeah.
Right.
It does. It's like that story in the book about Jason, the guy who travels to this remote village in Africa. He doesn't speak the language. He doesn't share their customs, but he's so genuinely curious about their way of life that he ends up forming these incredibly strong bonds with the villagers.
Yeah, he was more interested in learning about them than talking about himself.
Exactly. And that's a powerful lesson even online. When we approach our interactions with genuine curiosity, with a desire to understand someone else's perspective, it creates this space for real connection.
It's like the difference between fans and friends. You can have thousands of followers online, but those genuine connections, those deeper friendships, they take time and effort to cultivate.
Couldn't agree more. And that brings us to a chapter that might seem a bit counterintuitive in today's world. Surrendering the credit in a digital world.
Yeah, it's like in a world where everyone's trying to stand out, to grab the spotlight, how can giving credit to others actually increase your influence?
It's funny, right? Because our instinct is often to hold tight to our ideas, our accomplishments. But there's something incredibly powerful about letting go of that need for recognition.
It's like that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. When you're generous with credit, you're not diminishing your own light, you're amplifying it.
Exactly. You're showing that you're a team player, that you value collaboration over competition, and that you're confident enough to share the spotlight. And people are drawn to that.
So true. Okay, last chapter, and it feels like this one ties everything together. The importance of digital empathy. It's so easy to fire off a harsh comment online, to forget that there's a real person on the other side of the screen. How do we cultivate empathy in our digital interactions? How do we remember that human connection?
You know, it's funny because in some ways, digital empathy might be even more important than ever.
Because it's so easy to dehumanize people online, right? We reduce them to a profile picture, a username, a comment thread.
Exactly. And that's why we need to be even more intentional about remembering that everyone has a story. That person who left the nasty comment, that customer service rep who put you on hold for an hour, they might be dealing with something you know nothing about.
It's like that story in the book about Dave Carroll, the musician who had his guitar broken by United Airlines. He writes this song about it, posts it on YouTube, and it goes completely viral. Cost the airline millions in PR damage.
All because they lacked empathy. Right. They dismissed his concerns, didn't take the time to really listen to his story.
And it ended up backfiring big time. So in a way, digital empathy isn't just about being nice. It's about being smart.
It's good for business and good for relationships.
Exactly. It's a win-win. So we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about avoiding negativity, practicing affirmation, connecting with core desires, really listening to each other, building authentic rapport, surrendering the credit, and embracing empathy. It can seem like a lot, but when you really break it down, it's about remembering that even in the digital age, it's all about human connection.
Beautifully said. It's about approaching our online interactions with the same kindness, respect, and understanding that we would offline.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, the most influential people, both online and offline, are the ones who focus on building genuine relationships, not just racking up likes and followers. So as you navigate the digital world this week, I encourage you to choose one principle from our deep dive and make it your guiding star. Notice how it shapes your interactions, your relationships, and your overall experience online. Who knows, you might even win a few friends and influence some people along the way. Until next time, happy connecting.